Hi there. Jennifer Jimenez here, and I have a question for you. Are you facing burnout right now? Maybe mental, emotional, or physical? And maybe you know that this is an important moment for you to pause, hit that reset button, maybe reach out for help and make your health, your mental, emotional, and physical health a priority. My name is Jennifer Jimenez, and I am the founder and creator of the Brave Thinking Institute Health and Wellbeing Division. And I have helped literally tens of thousands of incredible souls, especially heart-centered change agent women, create amazing health and well-being and all-around successful results in their lives. And one thing I know for sure is, especially for women, we are very, very good about putting other people's needs as a priority, whether it be our household needs, our needs of the children, our children that we serve, whether we've birthed them or they're bonus or adopted children, our businesses, if we're in if we work, if we're in the work world. And so often our own needs will be put on the back burner. But that doesn't have to be the case. And we're seeing right now in many stories, especially in the Olympics, the importance of putting our health, especially our mental health, as a priority. And so I'm going to be giving you 12 proven ways to shift from burnout to breakthrough and to put our health, especially our mental, emotional, and physical health, as a priority to see amazing results in our life today. So if you right now are feeling some intense pressure, it's been an intense time in our world, or like I said, maybe you're experiencing burnout, maybe you have been turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms, if you've been experiencing that you've been pushing those feelings down and just brushing them aside and maybe silencing your voice and not speaking up about how you've been really feeling, but you've been taught to push forward and just power through, like many of us have been taught. But you've been pushing so hard that you find that you're overworking, you're under resting. Maybe some of these unhealthy coping mechanisms are overeating or emotional eating, maybe shopping, maybe overly watching at times electronics, just kind of losing yourself in social media, or binging on Netflix and not really taking the actions and doing the activities that you know are healthy activities for yourself. Let me just let you know that number one, you're not alone. According to a new study by Asana, more than 89% of American workers said that they faced burnout last year in 2020. And 9 out of 10 workers also admitted to working later last year than ever before. 95% of us say that mental health is important, yet only 26% of us prioritize it, according to Aetna. Most of us, 95% of us, say that caring for mental health is important to our overall health. And our actions, however, for many of us, tell a different story. Only 26% of adults say that they prioritize mental health over physical health, according to Aetna. So I know a few things about this, not only from the thousands of incredible souls that I've had the absolute honor and blessing of serving as a health and well-being expert and transformational coach, but I'm also a human being. I'm a person, I'm a mother, I'm a business owner, and over the last several decades, I've had several moments of burnout when I wasn't using the tools or hadn't yet learned the transformational proven tools that I use today to prevent burnout, literally sometimes on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, depending on the stress that many of our lives, my life, has in store for me, and some of the curveballs that come into play being a busy woman. So a few times in my life, just to throw it out there, to be authentic and vulnerable with you. Number one, as a young woman in my early 20s, I have come from the professional dance world. I was a professional dancer. And like any professional athlete, we have been taught to press on, to ignore the signs of mental burnout, to ignore the signs of physical burnout, and to perform. We are taught to show up and to perform. And over those years, I definitely experienced burnout. I experienced injuries and even, signs of depression because of that tendency and that training to overwork, underrest, and to overtrain, undereat, overdiet, all of those kinds of things. So definitely as a professional athlete and dancer, I know what it feels like to succumb to that pressure of performance. The second time I experienced burnout was really as a first-time pregnant mommy. As a professional dancer, I had a very high standard of what I felt like my physical body could do. So when I got pregnant, the first time with my first child, I trained for that birth like it was an athletic performance. And despite the signs and signals of burnout during that labor, I ended up having a 50-hour labor and pushing myself to exhaustion. I ended up with a pretty bad case of what is now known, but I didn't even know what it was at the time, of the baby blues. It's very common for new mothers or second or third or fourth time mothers to experience some mental health issues in regards to postpartum depression, or they call it the baby blues. There's many levels of that, but I definitely experienced that after my first birth. And then later in life, as a mother of three, raising three children, working a full-time job as the full-time steady breadwinner for my family, the pressures of that, the pressures to make enough money, the pressure of mothering the children and putting food on the table and all that is involved in that, I definitely found myself in a moment of burnout. And I really hit rock bottom at a certain moment where I wasn't taking care of my health. I had put all of my needs, my mental, emotional, and physical health on the back burner, and I was just pressing on. And so wherever you are in your life, whether your kids are out of the home, whether they're still at home, whether they're young, whether you don't have kids but you still feel the mental, emotional, and physical pressures to perform in this busy world that we live in, just know that you are not alone. And here's what's beautiful. Now, as the founder of our health and well-being division of the Brave Thinking Institute, where we are the premier training center for transformational coaching, where we work with thousands of lovely souls just like you from all over the world, not just here in the US, but literally all over the world, to create and live a life you love. That is our mission. 1 billion dreams achieved, and particularly in the area of health and well-being. We can't bring forth our dreams if we aren't caring for the one sitting in our own chair, standing in our own shoes, and particularly the mental, the emotional and physical health and well-being, that only we can take care of our own health and well-being. So I will tell you that I am very blessed to have been able to discover, implement into my own life, to experience my own well-being and transformational results, as well as helping thousands of people in this world discover tested and proven tools, methods, and strategies to lead the very busy lives that we lead and address our mental, emotional, and physical well-being, and to live a vibrant, radiant, healthy life. And I feel very grateful to have had many of my programs and products and services featured on LA Yoga Magazine, Women's World, Fox Business, the USA Today, many more. I've shared the stage with some of the world's greatest thought leaders, some of the greatest wellness leaders of our time. And I am very, very grateful to bring you the tools today, some of the very tested and proven tools that I bring forth with the paying clients that work with me, to be able just to help shift maybe some of this burnout or the stress that you're feeling, and give you some basic tools that you can begin to implement today. And so here's the thing. We focus on full spectrum wellness. What does this mean? This doesn't just mean that we have money in the bank account, therefore we have financial success. Or from the outside, the school, the moms, the parents think that we're really great parents, but yet on the inside, we're struggling. We can't get to sleep at night. We're not eating healthy. We're turning to coping mechanism. Full spectrum wealth is that in every quadrant, our health and well-being, our vocation, our time and money freedom, our relationships, our spiritual wellness, it's full spectrum well-being. There's a harmony, a balance, a flow, where we can move through life in a way where we have tools that no matter what life throws at us, whether it's a global pandemic, whether it's one of our kids falls ill, whether it's our aging parents need care, whether it's issues at work or problems, at the job or whatever it might be, there is a way to create a life where we flow with the challenges of life and thrive. And that is what I know we all want. Now, many of us watching right now the 2020 Olympics here this summer of 2021, we have witnessed some of the most incredible bravery of all time. And one of my favorite stories is that of Simone Biles, because so many of us have watched her success over the years. She's an Olympic US gymnast, if you weren't aware, somehow haven't seen this story, and she's one of the most decorated gymnasts of all time, female women gymnasts. And yet she stepped down from competition this year, and she did so to prioritize her mental health, which also of course leads to our physical health, because as a gymnast, if you aren't 100% focused, that could potentially lead to pretty massive, severe injuries if you're not, completely steady on your feet. And she said in a post that she developed what was called the twisties, meaning that her brain and her body all of a sudden just weren't syncing up, which would cause her to lose track of where she was in the air. So on July 25th of this year, she pulled out of those right after qualifying. She pulled out of many of the competitions that she was going to compete in. Now, here's what's so important. I think what's so important was that, number one, she was able to be honest with herself and to acknowledge what was really going on. Number two, we saw her reach out to her coaches and to her psychologists and the people and her family and the people that were around her to rally and support her in making a really empowered decision for herself. And even in the face of letting some people down. I can't even imagine the kind of pressure an Olympic athlete who's destined and expected to win gold has for her country, for her family, for her teammates, for her coaches, and for herself personally. And yet what I have learned over the many years of being a transformational coach is that no one else's expectations of us or on us are more important than us prioritizing our own health and our own well-being. And so Simone, one of her quotes on prioritizing her mental health is she says, "For a while, I saw a psychologist once every 2 weeks." Now, many of us also know that is the victim of abuse and trauma, sexual abuse, by one of the doctors on the US Olympic team and many of her teammates. And so she's been through a tremendous amount of mental, emotional, and physical abuse. She also lost one of her family members. Her aunt died suddenly. And so as we're going through life, as much as we just want to power through, we do need to, and our bodies will sometimes force us and require us to take care of these deeper issues and these deeper traumas that we faced. And so I'm really grateful to hear that Simone did get some psychological help. She was seeing a psychologist every 2 weeks that helped her to tune in with herself and feel more comfortable, feel less anxious. She says that one of the very first therapy sessions, she didn't talk at all because she wasn't sure that she was actually ready to accept health, which is another tool. Not only is it recognizing that we are maybe in trouble or that it's time to take a mental health break or a physical break, but it's also reaching out for help. And then once we've reached out for help, it's accepting it, recognizing it is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of greatest strength and bravery. She says, "I thought I could figure it out on my own, but that's sometimes not the case. And that's not something you should feel guilty or ashamed of," she added. "Once I got over that fact, I actually enjoyed it," in reference to therapy, "and look forward to going to therapy. It is a safe place." Now, She did fall into some depression. She told Vogue magazine in 2016 as fellow gymnasts came forward about their sexual abuse by Dr. Nasser. And at one point, I slept so much because for me, it was the closest thing to death without harming myself. It was an escape from all of my thoughts, from the world, from what I was dealing with. It was a really dark time. So I'm just going to pause here and say that if you're experiencing depression or you know anyone who is struggling with mental health issues or thoughts of harm, self-harm, or suicide, you can call the U.S. National Suicide Prevention Line, which is 1-800-273-TALK, which is 8255. You can call them anytime, day or night, or there is also a chat line available as well. But then Simone took a week off this last Olympics, and the very last apparatus that she could compete in was the balance beam. And after taking a mental health break, receiving some counseling and support from her coaches, and shifting her routine so that she could feel mentally strong and physically strong, she, instead of just fighting through it and pushing through it, she took the time that she needed. And she says that she couldn't be more absolutely thrilled to win the bronze medal in the balance beam routine and to complete her Olympics, not only as a champion on the beam, but as a human champion, a champion for really what it looks like to press pause on everyone else's desires and everyone else's expectations of her and prioritize her mental, emotional, and physical health. And that is really probably the number one message that I would love to share with each and every one of us today, is to remember that it doesn't matter the pressures of everyone else or the project that needs to be completed or everyone else's needs, because if our own mental, emotional, and physical health isn't there, ultimately we can't take care of anyone else either. So I'd love to support you with 12 ways to support your mental, emotional, and physical health and prioritize your health so that you can be radiant, vibrant, and healthy to create a life that you love as well. So the first step that we saw with Simone Biles, and I also experienced, which helped me create transformation in my life, as well as the very first one I often work with coaching clients, is to acknowledge. So number one is to acknowledge how you are feeling and speak up. It isn't just enough to know it in your own head, but it's really important to turn to a coach, a mentor, a friend, somebody, and say, I'm not okay. I'm not feeling okay mentally. I'm not feeling okay emotionally. Physically, I feel like my body's telling me that I might need to pause and stop. Which leads us to number two, listen to your body, particularly your body wisdom. The body never lies. So let's take Simone Biles, for example. She's trying to pressure through, she's trying to push on, and ultimately her body gives her a sign. You're not okay. Let's just give her a bout of the twisties, which will create an opportunity for her to pause and really address the mental and emotional issues that have risen up. And then once those are addressed, then we can continue to move forward. So the body, as much as we don't want some of these symptoms that are handed to us, it is our higher self. It is the body's wisdom way of telling us to pause, to slow down. Maybe it's a common cold, maybe it's an injury, maybe it's a case of the twisties, or whatever it might be. But it is not something to suppress and just press on. It is something to address, because whatever is suppressed will express itself one way or another. So listen to that body wisdom. Number three is to ask for help, which is an extension of number one and two. So number one is to acknowledge, to be aware. Number two is listen to the body wisdom. And number three is to raise your voice and ask for help, whether it be to reach out to a therapist, to a counselor, to lean on friends, to really have that moral support that we all need at times. I don't care if you're the leader of all leaders. Leaders also need to be supported, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur, the head of the household, a mother, a business owner, whatever it may be, just know that we all have times when we need to lean on someone else. Again, it's not a sign of weakness, but it is absolutely a sign of our greatest strength. Number 4 is to find a positive outlet, right? To have some sort of a hobby or a fun release, a fun way to release stress, whether it be to watch a funny, little video on YouTube, or to get outside and have a little fun and play. But the question I would have for you is, how do you have fun? How often do you allow yourself to have fun? Even just a few minutes of laughter can make all the difference to release some of the mental and emotional and physical stress that we deal with every day. Number 5 is to set boundaries. To set boundaries. So many, especially women that I work with, like I said earlier, overgive. They say yes when really their inner wisdom is saying to say no. I'm not going to go do that for you today. Or you know what? I really just need to sit down and put my feet up and not make dinner tonight. Speaking of that, this last year during our global pandemic, as I also faced some of the mental and emotional and physical stresses that that we all dealt with, there was a moment where, now my kids are not little, and they can feed themselves, but I resigned as the family cook for a month, and I set boundaries, and I just said, here are some solutions, here are some resources, here are the ways that we can get fed as a family, but being the nightly family cook, I resign. And I'll never forget the look on my husband and my kids' face. They were not happy. That statement was not meant to be pleasing to them, but guess what? There was just this sense of relief. And I knew that we weren't going to starve. I knew that everybody would be fed. I have a teenager at home who can drive. I have a husband who can help. We can order delivery service. There were lots of ways that we could feed ourselves. And I still, was able just to take that one pressure, even just for a month, off of my plate so that I could breathe. And it was one of the best decisions and boundaries that I set for myself. So I have a question for you. What is it that you're doing that is really out of obligation? That maybe deep down when you ask yourself, that maybe this would be a boundary that you could set, even for a period of time, where you just take that pressure off of yourself and you ask for some help and invite additional help. And my kids and my husband rose to the occasion. Everybody was fed, and it all worked out. It all worked out. Number 6 is to really look at your daily routine. Be sure that you're getting quality sleep. I would say, of all the things in the daily routine, we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition and movement and getting outdoors and things like that. But sleep, by far, is one of the most important. So oftentimes when we're stressed, it will lead to staying up a little too late, watching TV a little too late, which messes up with our melatonin. It messes up with our natural sleep cycles. So to really be disciplined, set an alarm on your phone when you're going to turn all those electronics off. Maybe take a warm bath, maybe do some gentle stretching, maybe listen to a guided meditation before sleep, but really get into a powerful, put yourself to bed sleep pattern, because of one of the most important aspects of having healthy hormones, which lead to healthy moods, which leads to a healthy mental and emotional state, really is sleep, because our body resets itself when we're laying flat. All of the toxins in the brain and the body get flushed out when we're laying flat. But if we're sitting up too late and staying up too late, we don't get that same release of those toxins in the brain. Now, number 7 is to get some fresh air, get outside. I work from home as a transformational coach, and I can tell so much the difference if I woke up and I have a busy day and I just come right to the laptop, do the work that I'm here to do, and then all of a sudden I realize, wait a minute, I haven't even stepped outside today. I notice a huge difference in my mental, emotional, and physical well-being. So taking a few deep breaths, even just sometimes I'll go out and do some sunbathing, not for long periods of time, but just to soak up that vitamin D. I love to take walks, take my dog for a walk, go for a hike, take a little bike ride. So really getting outside, getting some outdoor movement and sunlight is so key to our mental and emotional health. Number 8 is to move. Exercise, movement, daily activity is massive. There's so many studies that have been done on the mental, emotional, and physical benefits, especially the positive hormones that get released when we're moving. One of my favorites, especially on a busy day, is the 5-minute rule. To do 5 minutes of movement or dance as a dancer, just popping in my favorite song and getting my dancing groove on, or just walk around the block for 5 minutes. Even if I'm not going to get my workout, shoes and outfit on, I'll just pop up, walk myself around the block, come back here, and I just feel like I've hit the refresh or reset button. Movement is huge. Number 9 is having a gratitude practice. So much of our mental health has to do with the thoughts that we're allowing to run in our minds, and to catch the thoughts of self-criticism or criticism of others, or going down the path of really the negative thinking, and really pressing the pause button on those thoughts and just focusing in on gratitude. Focusing in on one win, one thing that is good about today can make all the difference in the world. Tip number 10 is taking some mental breaks or guided meditation. One of the things that I've implemented that has made a major difference in my life is little mini moments of guided meditation. There's several apps that you can find. Sometimes I'll just go, like I said, sit in the sun. I'll play one of my favorite audios and I'll just do a little guided meditation. Sometimes I'll do a walking meditation. Sometimes I'll do a moving, dancing meditation. So it doesn't have to be just a seated meditation. But the other piece around this, around mental breaks, is a tool that I actually learned as a young woman. I'm very, very grateful. I've been raised by the most incredible parents. My mother is a thought leader. Her name is Mary Morrissey, and she is the founder of Brave Thinking Institute, speaker, teacher, and amazing transformational coach of over 40 years. And my father is also a minister and a marriage and family therapist and drug and alcohol counselor, and has been a change agent his whole life. And when they were raising us as kids, as long as we were getting good grades meant a 3.0 or higher. Now, if you're in a different country, that basically means an A-B average, so good grades. If we just woke up one day, we didn't have to be physically ill to ask for what was called a mental health day, which meant I just don't feel like going to school today. I just don't feel up to it. Now, it couldn't be that we were trying to prevent ourselves from taking a test that we didn't study for, or sabotage ourselves in any weird way. So we weren't allowed to do that, or not deal with an issue with a friend, but it was more just, I just feel like taking a mental health day. And I so loved being able to do that, just to say, you know what, I'm doing well, I've been dedicated, and I just want to take a day for me and not go to school today. And so I implemented that with my kids, and they will oftentimes or sometimes say, you know what, I need a mental health day. And then now as an adult, it's been a practice that I've remembered. Now, during the times when I was in burnout, I forgot about that practice until one day, as I was getting my transformational coaching certification and implementing more of these practices, all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, I don't have to be a kid in school to take a mental health day, and to maybe shift my schedule around and say, you know what, I'm going to take half of this day off, or, the first part of the day off, and cancel a few meetings and just hit that refresh button. So I give you permission to also take a mental health day. You don't have to be physically sick, just to unplug and say, I'm taking a day off. I'm not cooking dinner. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not going to go into work. I'm just going to take a day for me, whatever that might be. You can absolutely give yourself that gift. Now, number 11 is our nutrition. It's to eat well. Oftentimes when we are burned out or stressed out, we can turn to sugar, caffeine, alcohol, substances as a coping mechanism. But I will tell you this, just a few days of eating like crap will wreak havoc on our ability to actually produce the feel-good hormones. But when we're eating healthy, real food with digestive enzymes like a banana or an apple, or a bowl of salad, or just that water that our body is so craving, it can make all the difference in the world. So making sure that you're feeding your body well, hydrating well. Our gut and our brain are intimately connected. So if we're eating well, our gut health is directly connected to our brain health, our ability to produce positive hormones that are required to have that feel good mood. Now, the final one is to practice personal development, to recognize that we are on this life to grow, that our spirit is seeking an ever expanded version and expression of itself by means of us. So to be reading personal development book, maybe listening to a personal development positive, podcast, or reading blogs, to really be seeking to develop yourself. And maybe that could lead you to transformational life coaching and to the Brave Thinking Institute. I want to read you a quote by Kimberly Tilton. Kimberly is a vibrant, healthy woman today. She was not so vibrant and healthy and radiant, though, when she first came to me. She was suffering from bouts of depression. She was suffering from being overweight and burned out. She talked about having a chronic, overly powerful inner critic, and weekends where she would just sit on the couch and eat junk food and overly watch Netflix, and she was just really suffering and wanting to see a change. And so she found the Brave Thinking Institute and the Health and Wellbeing Division, and particularly the Vibrant Healthy Woman program. And here is a quote from Kimberly as the vibrant, healthy, radiant woman, mentally, emotionally, and physically that she is today. She says, "I completely repatterned a very heavy habit of self-criticism, which had been running since childhood. This has led to deeper feelings of self-love and acceptance, freedom, expansion, and abundance as I move through life. I am finally releasing extra weight, which I've carried as a form of protection for over 15 years. I've made major changes to my diet and have released 40 pounds. Also, I found it easy to release the clutter in my home, which had plagued me for decades. Now I live in a home that is organized and beautiful. I am so grateful to have had this opportunity to work with Jennifer and to have had such massive growth in the past year due to her programs and her incredible skill as a coach and mentor." So this is just one story of literally hundreds and hundreds and thousands of clients that have worked with us at Brave Thinking Institute to go from burnout to breakthrough, from feeling sluggish, tired, overworked, and not good in their skin, to having flow, to having new habits and patterns that are life-giving, to live a vibrant, healthy, radiant life that they love living. And guess what? When our cup is filled, when we are taking care of ourselves, especially us as women, we're better mothers, we're better wives, we're better entrepreneurs, business owners, change agents, all the different roles, daughters, sisters, all the different roles that we play. Just know that you matter. Your mental, emotional, and physical health matters. You are worth it. And my invitation to you is to receive a gift. So one of the gifts that I love to give is that we carve out a certain amount of complimentary, vibrant, healthy woman consultation, which is basically where we help you take a peek at some of the habits and patterns that really aren't serving you, give it a good square look in the face at, okay, these are the things that aren't working, and then create a vision, some goals of what you would love if you could wave a magic wand, and you absolutely could. What if it could be easy? What would you love the ultimate results to look like? And then help you identify some of the blocks, some of the paradigms that have been keeping you stuck, and a blueprint, a plan, an outline for how to begin to shift those results. And if it looks like we might be a really great fit to work together, we can just help you discover all of the details about potentially joining the Vibrant Healthy Woman coaching program. So my encouragement to you is to click right here on this page and to discover and claim your complimentary Vibrant Healthy Woman consultation, because in order to see new results, you need to do something you haven't done before. If you keep doing what you've always been doing, you're going to keep getting the results that you've always gotten. So this is potentially a wake-up call, an opportunity to say, yes, I would like to make a difference. I would like to see some changes in my life, to click that button, to claim your complimentary consultation, and just know that you are absolutely worth it. It has been my pleasure to share these mind, body, spirit tips with you today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side.